Hello everybody, it's Mr. Morphetto, and today I want to talk about death in the Dragon Ball series and how I feel it hasn't mattered in a very long time within the manga and the anime. And I'm not going to say that death automatically makes a story better, a manga better, an anime better, but a earned death or a hero dying at a pinnacle moment as a sacrifice or in a final battle and staying dead like Android 16 did after he was destroyed by Cell and couldn't be brought back by the Dragon Balls. I feel like Dragon Ball Super is missing a lot of the bloodier moments in Dragon Ball that Dragon Ball Z had and later Dragon Ball had. More brutal fights haven't really been shown in the anime yet. There is some good signs of more brutal fights in the Moro arc, but I have a feeling they're not going to show all that in the anime adaptation. I'm hoping, we'll get a little more physical in the Super anime when it continues. But I feel the story, manga, and anime in Dragon Ball Super, it needs some memorable deaths. There are these characters like Yamcha, Tien, Krillin, Master Roshi, even Piccolo, who have been set aside for far too long in the story and rarely get a moment, and haven't really had any big moments except for Master Roshi in the Dragon Ball Super story. Which is sad. I mean, I'm happy they are thrown into some fights here and there, but they're usually beaten within a chapter or within an episode or less, or half a chapter sometimes. They get in a fight, and they usually get beaten just for Goku or Vegeta or sometimes Gohan to come in and make the save. So you can tell that those three characters are still very necessary for the story to continue. And of course the kids, Goten, Trunks, Ban. You don't want to kill any of the kids that are going to carry on the legacy of Dragon Ball. But there's these characters, these OG characters, Ten Shinhan, Piccolo, Roshi, Krillin, and Yamcha, and Chiaotzu, even Yajirobe. They are hanging on by a thread in the Dragon Ball Super story. They're lucky to get a chapter of screen time or a couple panels, or they're usually watching the fights from the sidelines. So these characters deserve a final death or a final showdown or something that allows them to retire, and it has to be meaningful. That's what I'm saying, that there's nothing meaningful, like the Piccolo death in the Resurrection F arc was pointless, and I don't think they even showed him being wished back. They just halfway mentioned, hey, Piccolo came back with the Dragon Balls. There are now 3 sets of Dragon Balls in Dragon Ball Super. The Super Dragon Balls, the Namekian Dragon Balls, and the Earth Dragon Balls. And I have to assume there's Universe 6 Dragon Balls on their planet Namek or something. Hopefully not. There's too many Dragon Balls. And the Super Dragon Balls have endless power from what I can tell. And the Namek and Earth Balls, I believe, can now bring back people as many times as you want. There needs to be a cap. Back in the day, in early Dragon Ball, when deaths mattered, when Dragon Ball Z first started, Goku didn't want Krillin to fight because if he died a second time, he couldn't come back. He'd already died once. Same with Chiaotzu. So the fight with with Raditz, the fights with Nappa, Frieza's army, they all meant something because at the time we didn't know that the Namekian Dragon Balls even existed, let alone later in the Namek saga when we don't know that they can bring people back multiple times, which I feel was one of the biggest mistakes they ever made. They should never have made that. Maybe bring back everybody like Chiaotzu because he was dead. That one more time, that extra time. You can find ways around the rule to bring back specific characters if they're needed for the story. You can find a way around the rule, maybe once for each character if necessary, but there needs to be a limit. I did a video on why I felt that Master Roshi should have died in the Tournament of Power when he had that big speech, and when he died in the Tournament of Power, he couldn't be brought back to life because he died in the void where they held the tournament, and that was the reason they didn't want killing in the tournament, because death there is permanent. You are erased into the void or something. Your soul is gone, and that would have been a great goodbye for Roshi. And even if they wanted to bring Roshi back, that could have been a big story point for the show to continue on after the Tournament of Power. Goku's like, I'm going to search the universe, or whatever I gotta do to bring Master Roshi back. Or Master Roshi could just be happy to be done. He makes the final sacrifice in the Tournament of Power, does his whole speech, and gets to retire peacefully. But like I said, bring him back later if you have to, but we need death to matter again. There needs to be there needs to be either less Dragon Balls, or they need to find a way to cap the Dragon Balls at bringing people back to life, and then they need to commit to it and allow a character like Ten Shinhan and Chaozu, or even Yamcha, to be involved in a fight or helping out in a fight that they're clearly not strong enough to keep up in, because the story, Akira Toriyama or anybody else on the writing staff in Dragon Ball don't want to give them a power boost to help them keep up with the major villains. So a major villain can really get over as a fucking beast, and people will remember the villain that killed Ten Shinhan permanently. Maybe he kills them and then absorbs their soul or something crazy, and there's no bringing him back. And maybe by the only way they can save them, there's no saving them. There's no coming back. Ten Shinhan saves Goku or something, steps in the way of a blast, uses his Kikohos one too many times and dies, and then something happens where they cannot be returned. We need that in the Dragon Ball Super anime and manga, and I'm not asking for a whole bunch of deaths like a Naruto story would give us, but I'm asking for one solid OG Dragon Ball character like Ten Shinhan, like Master Roshi, who have served their purpose and are not going to get anything more from the writers. I still have hope for characters like Piccolo. Speaking of Piccolo, his death in GT, where he decided to stay dead, and I thought that was a great way to say goodbye to a character they just weren't going to use. So they found a way to give Piccolo a new purpose. He was the guardian of hell, basically, keeping people in line in HFIL. Heffel. But that was a cool way to say goodbye to a character, but he could still be around in Otherworld if you want to bring him in. But it was a sad moment for Gohan to say goodbye to Piccolo, because he wasn't coming back, and he knew he didn't want to come back. He was ready to pass on. Something like that for Piccolo. I'm down. I'm down for that. I'm down if Piccolo has to infuse his life into Gohan to help him get through an enemy, and there's no bringing him back, giving him all of his energy, something crazy, an ultimate sacrifice, and then he's gone. Piccolo is one of my favorite characters. Ten Shinhan is one of my favorite characters, and I am ready to let them pass on, and then I won't think about them anymore. There's so many fans I see out there that are fighting for these characters to get a spotlight, like Master Roshi had in the Tournament of Power. And if having them have their final stand against the main villain of a current arc, just to put that main villain over as a major threat, as a major heel to be remembered for years on, who people remember, that's the guy that killed Tien. That's the guy who beat Piccolo and made it so he could never come back. The most unique looking character in the entire show. So much possibility making death matter again in Dragon Ball. Not only by killing one of them, proving that death can matter again, and not being able to bring them back. Especially if you cap the Dragon Balls and bring people back to life anymore. and really savor these deaths, make it, arcs and arcs ahead, but we can take two, like Chaozu, Tien, double death, they get to die together, be together somewhere in heaven, something like that, that's fine. Or Roshi, and then kill Shinhan later. There's the way to do it. If you're not going to do anything with them in the story, but make them spectators, these proud warriors that we all respect, let's use them in a major way to put over a major heel in the Dragon Ball future. There's plenty of characters to take their place, like Frieza's now a sort of anti-hero. We've got Broly. There's no room for the characters I love. Tien, Krillin, Piccolo. So let's make room for the next generation. Let's make room for Trunks and Goten and Pan and Vegeta's daughter Bola. Oob. We gotta make room for all these characters in the future. So you can either let them go out in a blaze of glory or let them fade away quietly. But death is going to have to come for some of these characters. And they could bring meaningful deaths back to Dragon Ball. And you'd only lose the characters it's time for them to go. But you'd never expect it. Especially with all these years of characters just coming back no matter what. Except for Android 16. The possibilities are endless. People will be on the edge of their seats more when they watch big battles in Dragon Ball Super if they know that death is possible again. An emotional goodbye. I felt emotion when Roshi was dying in the Tournament of Power, but it wasn't enough because even if in the back of your head you think, oh, if he dies it's fine, they'll just wish him back eventually. By the next arc, he'll be back. It doesn't matter how badass the death looks. We have no faith that they're gonna let the characters stay dead. It's time. It's time for a meaningful death in Dragon Ball. It's time to set a new standard for the emotional depth, and how old us fans are now that want to see major stories happen. But that involve real stakes. We need real stakes in Dragon Ball. We need real consequences for our actions. We need someone to make a big mistake and pay the price. Or someone else pay the price because they made the mistake. And now there's no reset button. Take away that reset button. And if it doesn't work out and people are pissed, bring it back. Get another set of Dragon Balls for another universe. You can fix it anytime you want. But I think they will see more people watching the show and more involved with the show if you give us some real stakes, some real emotional attachments, some meaningful deaths. Yes, I think that deaths should matter again in the Dragon Ball story, in the series, in the manga. But what do you think? Do you think they should have a meaningful death, have a character die and not be able to be brought back to the story? Even if they blindside us, which this would never happen, and take out a character like Vegeta permanently. It'd be crazy because he's got so much potential still. I don't think they'd ever do that. But they could do something crazy like that. They could kill Whis or Beerus, and that's cool, and finish them off permanently. That'd be kind of cool too. They've kind of become a part of the group. But I really think a character like Shinhan, who's reaching his 50s, Roshi, he's kind of already missed his moment in the Tournament of Power, but you could still do it. You could have him make the ultimate sacrifice. Use everything he's got to save everybody, but have to be sealed away as well. Something. There's so many possibilities. But that's what I'm thinking. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. I'm Mr. Morfetto. I'll see you later.